Hey everybody, how's it going? Josh here, and this recent Thanos novel is chock full of juicy details about Thanos' life and origin, and basically gives a really cool insight in kind of the cosmic MCU as a whole in certain areas. This part of kind of analyzing the book, we're going to talk about how Thanos gained the Chitauri army and the Outriders, which we saw in Avengers Infinity War during the Battle of Wakanda. It basically goes as such that when Thanos was exiled from Titan, eventually his ship kind of ran out of fuel, and he tried getting to a civilized area in space such as like Kree, Empire space, but wasn't able to make it. And he was rescued by another ship, but it turns out that ship uses slavery, and Thanos was used initially as a slave. However, over time, because obviously Thanos is not an idiot, he was able to become part of the captain's inner circle and the ship's engineer, and eventually from there he was able to take over the ship and kill the captain, and he renamed the ship Sanctuary, which is actually not the Sanctuary you see in the future MCU films, because it tends to be a pattern that every ship Thanos has he calls Sanctuary, which is kind of interesting. Now eventually through all this, Thanos is able to land on Xandar, and from Xandar he gets another ship, which brings him to an Asgardian post on Alfheim, and from there he enters a wormhole thinking he's going to Asgard, but instead he enters the Chitauri homeworld. Upon entering the Chitauri's homeworld, he's originally really weakened at this point because he got into a few battles with some Asgardians, and this is not the Thanos we know today. Thanos is still quite vulnerable at this point, so he's healing. At this point, he learns of Chitauri's society, Chitauri kind of customs and cultures, and he learns many things about them, such as they're a hive mind society with characteristics of reptiles, insects, and cyborgs. As a matter of fact, it's kind of interesting because they're cold-blooded, yet they live on a frigid planet, so Thanos actually kind of finds that humorous. One of the Chitauri actually is called the Other, which you may remember from the Avengers. So we never really knew if this guy was a Chitauri or another alien. It turns out he is actually Chitauri. But what makes him special is that he, just like Thanos, is kind of the deviant member of his race. And besides having like extra, opposable thumbs and stuff like that, he is not a part of the hive mind. So he has independent thought, but he can still communicate with the hive mind, which makes him very resourceful. So recognizing Thanos' superior intellect, and the Chitauri want to leave their home planet. Their home planet is not really a good planet for them because, like I said before, they're cold-blooded, yet their planet is frigid. So they want to leave, but to do that they'd have to conquer a new planet. And the Chitauri, due to how their hive mind works, they don't really have the strategic or tactical mind to execute anything similar to war. Sensing that Thanos has a superior intellect that would allow them to do that, the Other kind of gives Thanos control of the Chitauri Empire and Chitauri military force. In return, that basically the Chitauri will beat Thanos' army and help Thanos on his quest. But in return, Thanos will help the Chitauri get a new homeworld that better fits what they would like. From this, Thanos becomes the ruler of Chitauri, and Thanos uses the Chitauri for both scientific experiments, practice dummies, along with conquering different worlds. And using his knowledge of science, he genetically modifies the Chitauri to become stronger, and this allows him to also improve his fighting capabilities and things like that, because he basically just fights Chitauri after Chitauri after Chitauri, not one-on-one, but as groups. And that kind of lets him hone his fighting abilities before he even starts going to war with different planets over and over and over again. On Titan, he unfortunately learns he's too late to save it. However, after several years of conquest, he finally allows the Chitauri a break from conquest so they can kind of settle on their new world that better fits their needs, because at this point, there are so many worlds that Thanos has kind of destroyed all life on that the Chitauri have basically any world they want for the most part. Like, they have several worlds they can choose from. During this time, Thanos was kind of bored. Thanos decided to return to his scientific experiments, his genetic engineering, and using samples of his own DNA, the Chitauri DNA, and DNA samples from worlds he's kind of conquered, Thanos creates a new creature, and this creature is the Outriders. Using the Outriders, he plans to basically use them to eventually replace the Chitauri, because he kind of feels the Chitauri are a little handicapped in certain areas due to their hive mind. And the Outriders are also programmable, so he basically kind of sees the Outriders as grunts that he can pre-program from birth for nothing else but combat and loyalty to him. Thanos makes millions of these for his military efforts. It actually connects with how we get the Black Order and the Children of Thanos. So check out that video when you get a chance. Comment below what you guys' thoughts. What do you guys think about this? It's definitely a really cool book, so please check it out if you get a chance. Support the official release and all that. And I'll see you guys later.